Hello, I'm in San Diego area, California. I've lived in a house for about 8 years, this last 8 years, and it was owned by a person that I met doing a service call. I was doing in-home service about 8 years ago, and I had done service for him before, so we were kind of friendly to, as friends type of, acquaintance type of thing. Um, and he met me, although it was being taken care of by a property manager because he's actually a judge in San Diego, and they have to have property managers to manage the properties for many reasons. One of the biggest reasons is financially, that they're not accused of paying off, exchanging funds, whatever. Just it's financial. So there's just rules and regulations, ethics, whatever. So I was working on a range in his kitchen, and noticed that the house was empty, and looked like a decent house. And I was actually in the market to move. I hate moving, and every time you have to move, you got to find a new place to live, and it's just everybody can relate. It's a real pain in the butt, especially dealing with property managers that. Most of them think they're better than everybody else. If your credit report's not 800, you're worthless. And then some of them ended up in having that come back at them 2008, 2009, when they started losing their houses because the market crashed, which they caused, the realtors. And now they're at it again. They're running these prices up in San Diego where you can't even afford something, and there's not a lot of houses available because right now during COVID, especially rentals, there's no rentals because nobody's getting evicted because of the eviction moratorium. So for 8 years, I talked to him about, I jumped on it right away. I said, wow, I'm looking for a place to live, and I'd really like to rent the house. And he said, that's fine, you can rent it. And I said, but I'm not going to deal with the property manager. And he said, that's all right, we can deal with it one-on-one, which I thought was kind of strange because if he's a judge, he's not supposed to be doing that. Anyways. So, did the paperwork. I moved in. First day, first week. Wow, wake up call. It's 3,000 square foot house. It was what you call you could just walk in and look and see. It was a flip job where they went through and this is what they do when they flip houses. They barely do anything. They don't fix things right. They cover everything up. They slap some paint over the whole inside, and it's not even properly painted. Overlapping paint and all that. You could tell right away. But it was just me and my 3 dogs, and I run my business out of the house, so it worked for me. And as time went on, I started to question whether it was working for me, and you'll find out why. So I took showers, anybody does, and next thing I know, I got a foot of water downstairs. It was a 2-level house. Went downstairs, a foot of water. The whole lower level was covered in water. Deep water. And running the sink, and, just kitchen, bathroom, it just, and doing that for several days, and I wasn't downstairs for any reason, so I didn't. When I went down there, I was just shocked. There's a foot of water down there. Went into all the rooms. There's 3 rooms down there. There's a storage room where all my stuff was stored. A bedroom there. There was another bedroom out into the garage. It even went all the way out into the garage. Get everything wet out there. Come to find out, called a plumber, but I did some investigation because I do service, and sure enough, it was coming from the ceiling from upstairs. There was a plumbing fitting that the plumber never hooked up, so the drain line was wide open. So they turned the water upstairs on. They just poured out the pipe because there's no fitting on it. And I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my 50-some years on this earth. Somebody just leaving parts out. But as I mentioned, this is like a flip job, and I certainly didn't think a judge would be accepting of that kind of job. You know, we kind of revere them and are afraid of them, and you know, respect them. Whatever the words you say, some people hate them. But I was going to give him a chance. He was always nice to me. And got a plumber out there, fixed it, and that was just a start of, if anybody's ever seen The Money Pit, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, those that know the movie know exactly where I'm going here in the rest of this video. And everybody else is Googling it right now. So luckily it wasn't my house, because as time went on, there's a good reason why I wouldn't want it to have been my house. So I told him about it. First thing, his response was, "Can you clean it up?" Can I clean it up? I'm thinking to myself, wow, are you kidding me? And the flooring's all ruined. The wood laminate flooring. This isn't my job. But I was newly tenant, and I newly living there, and you know, wanted to make a good impression and help him out, and did me a favor by letting me move in and let the property manager deal with it. And so I went back for, oh my God, it was hours and hours and hours. Trying to get all the water clean, got into the walls, everything, and I told him about that, and he said, "Don't worry about it. Just vacuum it up, and once it gets dried, you know, it won't get mildew or anything, and should be all right. And you're okay if we just leave the floor of concrete down there, right?" I was like, "No, are you kidding? I'm paying for rent on a house with bedrooms downstairs, and you want to just leave it concrete now because there was a flood? Are you kidding? No. Yeah, I do care." You know, I was gentle about it, saying to him, but wow, I couldn't believe he said that. So, as it turns out, he wasn't going to get anybody to do it, and I ended up having to talk him into doing it. He didn't want to pay the money for somebody to do it. It was going to be too expensive. It's your house. It's your investment. So none of this made sense to me right off the bat. I mean, I'm thinking, wow. So I offered to do it a lot cheaper, almost next to nothing. And I didn't have time for this. And this is not my house. And he wasn't going to pay me hardly anything, labor, to do it. I had to go over and get the flooring for it, and it was just ridiculous. So I get the flooring in, and like I said, he refused to do anything about the water getting in the walls or anything. "Oh, it'll be all right." Well, time went by, and then next thing it wasn't probably a few months or whatever, and the kitchen upstairs flooded. And it's like, wow, again. Called him up, contacted him, and can you clean it up? Yeah, I suppose. No damage done there, except that it got into the underneath the cabinets and the wall and everything, just like it did downstairs. But it wasn't as much water. It wasn't a foot of water, and it truly was a foot of water downstairs. This was just covered the whole floor. Got that cleaned up. Moved on from that. Big old hole in the backyard. I mean, 12 feet deep. 10 to 12 feet deep hole in the backyard. It was on an acre. The hole was a old koi pond. And this was months and months, walking by it and doing stuff out there. Almost fell into it more than once. And the girl that was in my office, same thing. She was out with my dog. She almost fell in, backing up. She almost fell in there. Would have really gotten hurt bad. 12 feet deep. Nothing in it. No water or anything. It was just empty. It was an abandoned pond. So I asked him, early on, I said, is there anything we can do about, this hole in the ground? It's kind of dangerous. I almost fell into it, and my office girl did. Still treading water, or treading lightly just to, be gentle about it because I don't want to be demanding of anything. And it's just not who I am. He said, yeah, he was thinking about getting somebody to fill it up with dirt. Make a planter out of it, I suppose. And I was like, well, I mean, over time, I could make a shallow water feature out of it and fill it up. It'd be a lot cheaper than, and I said, I'll even put more time and even some of my money into it to make it look nice. And there's a waterfall, make it operational, put a new pump in it. It might go past what he would pay for somebody to fill it up. I'll go past that and add more to it, just to thankful for you letting me live here and trying to make the house look nice. And it's just kind of who I am. He says, go for it. Well, I get into it. I mean, I was working on it for about four years or so. And I mentioned a few times about reimbursement for that, filling it up with dirt. And so many times, I mean, I brought it up so many times, talking to him personally, talking to him on the phone, emailing, and he just would ignore it. Got to the point where I kind of confronted him about it. I said, you said go for it, so that meant that was kind of express consent to go ahead and do this, and you were going to pay somebody to fill it up with dirt, so pay me what you were going to pay them, and I told you that I would do extra and I would pay for that. And he says, no, I didn't consent to that. And so basically he's not going to pay me anything. Here we go again. Now, here's a pattern now starting. So I just continued to work on it, and was hopeful that I would talk him into being responsible for his own property in his own words, that he said go for it, do it, after I talked about him paying somebody else and me paying whatever extra out of my own pocket. I mean, it's very clear what I was offering to him before he said go for it. And he had mentioned many times, because I do service, that if you ever have a repair that you do or whatever, make sure you let me know. Don't do anything free. We'll pay you for it. Even his wife said that. I call her the silver spoon. There's a reason, and you'll understand it as I get to the middle or the end of the video. They're both pushing me to make sure you charges, but then on the other side of the coin, that's all talk, because basically they're saying do something and then refusing to pay me, or pay me next to nothing. And here comes the water main breaking. I had to fix it. Downstairs flooding again from torrential rain coming in through the side walls. I had to vacuum it all up again, and it ruined quite a bit of my furniture. By this point, there was a mold area in the storage room down there on the wall. It was black mold, big spot on the wall. And he had, this was like maybe the second year of the 8 years, and he had a maintenance guy come over and take that panel out, just the panel out. And that panel actually opened up to the outside underneath the house. So with that panel off, the outside was now the inside. There was nothing between the outside of the house and the inside of the house. The panel was removed, the wall, part of the wall. So I kept asking him about that for weeks and weeks, and you get the guy back there and re-drywall the wall, and nothing. We'll get to it. I'll just kind of jump ahead, just for this job here. It was 4.5 years later, he finally got somebody over there to do that. I got insects, I got rats, I got stuff up against the wall. I mean, this is just unacceptable. Unacceptable. But I couldn't get him to respond and get somebody over there. I mean, he would respond, but it just, we'll get to it. Right, I remember, you know, and it was over 4 years later, about 4.5 years later, finally got somebody in there. So I'm getting really aggravated here. This was back, it was 2012 when I moved in. This is about 2014. I've got another flood downstairs, as I mentioned, and it ruined the flooring again. The water continued to pour in because the house is on a hill. So the hill's like this. The house is up against it, built up against it, and the water is in the hillside, all on this hillside, and the water's just coming right into the house, and it's seeping through the dirt into the house for almost a month. It kept filling up that downstairs. There's no way to stop it. I had to wait till it stopped before I did something about it. And he was not going to get somebody to come over and take care of it. I had to take care of it again. I had to clean it up. I'm begging him to do something about it. No, I don't want concrete. And so I'm trying to talk him into the cheapest way of doing it, so that at least we'll put flooring in there and get the repair done. And I ended up doing the repair when I don't have time for this stuff because he didn't want to pay somebody else. It was like he just figured it wouldn't happen again. If I put flooring down, it was unbelievable. I just when I'm talking about it and listening to myself, it's like the guy doesn't have any common sense. And you would think as a judge he has to have some common sense, but no. That's not the way it appeared to me. And it was getting worse and worse. Just a real, at that point I was calling him a cheapskate. Didn't want to spend any money on anything. But first couple of years, there would be times where I was unable to get a hold of him, and I found out later, 2-3 times a year, they're gone for 3 weeks at a time. He would take off from court, and they'd be in the Bahamas or Greece or wherever. He can't pay money to fix the house, but he could be going on exotic vacations. And that's when I started to get kind of aggravated because, you know what? And his wife's over there figuring out the next vacation they want to go on. And here I am fixing their property for next to nothing and paying rent for something that's got serious problems. And doesn't seem to want to stop. The problems just continue. And when he did, when this water caused a problem, right after that, well, shortly after I moved in, there was piles, little dust piles. And some people might know that right off the bat what I'm talking about. Termites. They were building up on everything. And I kept telling him, because termites are something that will destroy a house. I mean, that'll destroy your investment. And so he just kept ignoring me. Yeah, we'll get to it. Once again, it was about 4 years after I moved in when I first mentioned it to him, 4.5 years, that he actually had to do something. The only reason he finally did something was I fell through the flooring in the sunroom room where my pool table was. The flooring actually caved in, and I almost got really hurt because there was nothing underneath it. It was second level down there, but the house was not underneath this portion. This was overhanging right where the hillside was, so it was about 10 feet down. I went through, and I almost got really badly hurt. My legs went through, and I caught myself. And I told him about it, and I said, it's rotten. It's termite damaged. And so that's when he finally reacted. When I kind of hurt my wrist. That's when he finally reacted, when I got hurt. He's not going to do anything until I get hurt, in this example. And I was so aggravated. So he asked me, once again, can I call and set up appointments and do interviews with the termite people? Wow. Okay, so I'm yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. Interviewed him. Terminex, these different companies came over, and he decided on one of them, and they were going to have to tent the house, and where am I going to go with my 3 yellow labs? I asked him. I said, what am I going to do? Because you can't stay in the house. They put poison in the house. Well, we'll get you like a camp, something to camp out in the front driveway. Get a pop-up trailer for me to my 3 dogs and me in this small pop-up trailer. You know, those things that you go out with that lifts up and the side comes out. Hardly any room for me in there. But I had 3 dogs too, right in my front yard, right 10 feet away from the tent. And I don't want to be asleep, but I had no choice. He wasn't going to pay for anything else. He has a right to, though, because he's displacing me because of repairs to his home. But aggravated as I was, I went along with it because I had no choice. That was the nightmare. So they got that tenant, and they gave him a quote for $6,700 or something like that for all the wood repair. And he wasn't going to do it. Now he wants to get rid of that extra room, the sun room. We'll just stop the house and get rid of that. Just tear it down. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? Wow, I could not believe what this guy's suggesting here. This is his investment, this house, and he just wants to not do anything to fix it and keep it up. You have to fix your investment. You have to keep up your investment, or it's not worth anything. And I said, no. I said, that's an extra room that I have for my pool table and part of my rental agreement. I said, I really want to keep the room. So I said, I'll find another contractor, look for another contractor for you or something, and find somebody that's cheaper. And I found somebody that would do it for $1,400 instead of $6,700. And I had to help him with all of it because going and getting the stuff and everything else, because that was part of the deal of keeping it so cheap. And here I am, not getting paid for any of this time that I'm helping him, managing him to do this. And, you know, I'm not a young guy, but anytime I've had somebody's had me do something for somebody else, they always offer to pay you. You know, they always offer something. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. I appreciate your help. And not a thing, not even an offer, not even nothing from him. Just expected me to do it for nothing. And now I'm getting way past irritated and aggravated. I'm just way past that now. I now know who he is. He's somebody that doesn't care anything about anybody else's inconvenience. He cares not about his own investment, except for doing everything as cheap as possible, even tearing down a room, part of the house, so he wouldn't have to pay to repair it, the flooring, and the eaves across the sides and everything. So I helped him Robert get this done, and it was a lot of work. And I spent a lot of time there helping him out, actually labor physically and everything, because he was just by himself. And not one iota, nothing. When we were done, or nothing, almost hardly a thank you. I don't even know if he did say thank you, honestly. Just expected. It was an inconvenience for him, and he just wasn't going to pay anything out to. Tenants have better rights than that. They just do. They don't deserve to live under this construction, these termites, this flooding. The walls were molding. That started back in the first year with all the flooding the first time. He never did any kind of remediation, water removal or anything properly. He made me do it, and I, with a wetback. But you actually have to get a company in there with blowers and everything else, and to do it properly, or you're going to end up with mold in the walls, in the drywall, because it gets through the walls underneath them at the floor level. So here I am, doing whatever I can to help, and aggravated now that this is who this person is, and I can't move. My mother, I've been going back and forth from California to Arizona every weekend for 5 years. I did, to help, or not to help, but to restore her condo out of my pocket, and taking everything I had so that she could sell the place, and she was going to come live in San Diego with me. And so this was the third year, and she was actually going to come stay. And shortly after she got there, I moved her over. I got run over by a car in my driveway. Did damage to my lumbar, and I couldn't walk. So doing service was out of the question. I actually ended up selling my service company because I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do service again. Ended up $23,000, almost $30,000 in debt helping my mom. Terrible timing. And finally got her condo sold, and then I just had to pay all that debt back with what she was reimbursing me for the work, so there was nothing left. But I wanted to help my mom. That's what we all should do, and I tried my best. So, you know, it wasn't long after that. There was rat infestation from the day one that I moved in there. I finally got some rat stuff, and they take back, they're called place packs. They take back to their family, and it kills the whole family. The problem was they were taking them back to their family inside underneath the house or wherever it was, and it was smell, horrible smell, as you all know, when the rats die. And I kept mentioning that to him, that, they were out of control. They were just out of control. They were everywhere, especially with that hole downstairs from that maintenance guy not covering it back up. They're actually getting in the house. And that's just a nightmare. I don't want to sleep in a house with rats running around. As I mentioned, the water main broke. I had to fix that. Nothing was working around the house. Electrical was acting up. There were, my office girl went and touched the light switch to turn it on, and touched the screw on the light switch, and put her hand on the sliding glass door, which was like a ground, and she got shocked. And I put a meter on it. It was 120 volts. 120 volts from the switch, the screw on the switch, to the ground. If you touch them both, you get 120 volts going through you. That's dangerous. There's a serious electrical problem. I told the owner about it. Once again, and it's like he didn't believe me. How could that be? Don't worry about it. It'll go away. And I kept bothering him about that because that was extremely dangerous. And finally, he got an electrician out to check it out. And the electricians started pointing out other things to do. This doesn't up to code. We have to fix this. We have to fix that. We have to fix that. You know, but you're out here for the electrical problem. They did all this other work, like $7,000 or something, and never fixed the problem they were called for. Never fixed the problem they were called for. Unbelievable. And they also, when I was out doing calls, service calls, they're messing with my office girls. They had 2 office girls in there, and they ended up doing drugs with them on the property. I mean, I actually came back once and caught them. I couldn't believe this. So I told the owner, I said, look, these guys are not fixing this. And he's just like, don't worry about it. We don't worry about it. Wow. He just didn't want any more cost. But they didn't even do what they came out there for. I mean, at this point, I was just fed up. I was fed up. When they took when they tented the house and they took the flooring out, they had to move the, then the leaks, the roof started leaking. It was leaking in the hallway, in the house. The skylight actually fell through onto the ground inside because it was so corroded, and from the wind and everything, and so damaged it fell actually through the roof, came through the roof and fell onto the ground inside the house. I told him about that. There was water damage in there. It was leaking in the living room. The ceiling was all stained and leaking. Electrical didn't work in different parts of the house. Still, they never did fix the short where you can get electrocuted. Never fixed it. When they were done, they never fixed it. And he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't do anything about it except go on another vacation for 3 weeks. Spend another $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 on his vacations 3 times a year. So let's say there were 6,000. I doubt it was that cheap because these were exotic vacations. Maybe 8,000, $24,000 if three vacations a year, and he can't fix the things that wouldn't even come close to that cost in the house. Nope. Wouldn't do it. His wife's in there every 5 minutes after vacation. She's figuring out where else they're going to go. The Silver Spoon Lady. There you go. That's why I named her it. She didn't care about what I was going through. So, and I'm paying to go through this by paying rent. This is one of the worst landlords I've ever in my life encountered. And I've rented 60 properties over my life. So, you know, the problem is he's a sitting judge. And what are you going to do? I don't want to have to move. I just want him to fix things. But he's not doing it. And now I'm at the point where I was helping my mother, and now I can't even hardly work. And now I can't even afford to move. So now I'm in a bad situation. And I've got to try to put up with this and just push him to do the right things. Won't do it. Every time I came home from work, that my office girl would be in like shorts and a t-shirt. I mean, she was like baking and she's sweating, and I'm going, why is it so hot? And she had the air on all day long, down at 60 degrees, but it wouldn't cool off in the house. It's because the rats ate all the vent work underneath the house. They ate holes in the vents. And so she had the air conditioning on, tried to recover, fans all on, and she was next to nothing, clothes-wise, with shorts and a t-shirt, and still sweating. And then I started sweating when I got home. And I started investigating. I started talking to him about it. I was like, my electric bill was going through the roof. It was like $800. I couldn't afford this. It actually hit $1,200 when my mom was there, because she had to have it on all the time because the circulation's not the same when you get older. So, especially the heat. So he's ignoring me about the electric bill. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what I have to pay. And there's nothing wrong with the air conditioning. In fact, the air conditioning didn't even work when I moved in. That was something the electricians had to fix because it was wired totally wrong, dangerously wired. It was wired to 110 volts when it's a 220 air conditioner. It's a central air, and it didn't work. And they rewired it. I couldn't believe it. Nothing in the house worked. So he's going to leave me without air conditioning too. And I started doing some more investigation and found out that I took my digital thermometer and was reading around the house and read the roof, the ceiling inside the house. It was 105 to 108 coming off the ceiling in most of the house, which meant that the heat from the outside was hitting the roof, filling the attic, heating up the ceiling, and coming in through the ceiling into the house. That's why it was so hot. That wasn't the only reason. I did more investigating. Found out the windows were leaking real bad. There was an air tunnel running through the house. A bad air tunnel, just wind blowing through underneath the doors. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. The windows are like 1950 or something. And they wouldn't shut all. They didn't seal. And they're not insulated at all. So here I am. I gotta get these things fixed. I mean, good grief. I can't live like this. And so I'm begging him to do something about the air conditioning. He won't. So I'm offering to check it out and see and I can put in new ductwork underneath the house and save him, and it's almost, here again, I'm not getting paid anything for it. We actually did have two companies come out, and they both quoted a price, and he refused to pay it. I had to go through the interviewing process again. Refused it because he wasn't paying that much to have it fixed. I could live in 90 to 100 degrees is what it was the ceiling was actually 105 to 108, but it filled the room even with the air conditioner on all day long. It never got below 90. It was 90 plus in the house all the time when it was hot outside. It was unbearable. This became a real serious problem and a health problem for me in just a couple more years. It was a real problem for my mother. I didn't realize because I was gone all day working. And that's why she was getting really irritated. And my office girl was complaining about it. I couldn't imagine how it could be so hot because there's air conditioner. And I work on air conditioners and it's running. It's coming out. But the air was all going underneath the house. It was barely coming out most of the vents. It's coming out a couple of them pretty good. And there were also, the vents were on the floor. Warm air rises, cold air drops. If the cold air is coming out on the floor registers, which is not what they should be registers up on the wall, as it is in most houses. Then the cold air drops in the room. If migrates into the warm air, it mixes with it, and it cools the room down. But when it's on the floor, it can't rise. Warm air rises. So it stays hot in the room. So registers are on the floor where the air's coming out. The ductwork has got holes in them, and it's just blowing like crazy down underneath the house, but not getting in the house. So I gotta go downstairs underneath this house with the rats and everything. I'm just not liking this. I hired a guy to go down there for me, and I don't think he did the best job, but I couldn't do it. And I had to pay him. I didn't get reimbursed. I mean, this is just unbelievable. He paid me for the parts and a little bit for me to do it, which was nothing. And it still didn't solve the problem because the windows are leaking. The doors, the weather stripping in the doors were leaking real bad. Everything was leaking hot air into the house. And I told him about all this, and we'll just go ahead and put some new weather stripping on. You know, get somebody to do your repairs for you. This is not what I signed up for. I mean, this is unbelievable. You want to pay me nothing to do your repairs for you in your house. This is not the way it works. You own a house, you have to do the repairs and pay for the repairs yourself. But he's taking advantage of me seriously badly now, and I'm just not liking this at all. And I'm letting him know more and more that I'm bothered about this, but I'm trying to walk a line of not getting thrown out at the same time, because I can't afford to move at this point. This has got into the 2016, 15, 16, and now 17, and there was another flood. The downstairs just keeps flooding, and it's just unbelievable. Once again, floor's ruined. And so, you know, I'm just tired. I'm not putting a new floor in. I'm just not doing it. I'll leave the damaged floor in there, but I don't want concrete. And so now I'm just really having a hard time walking. And one of my toes is turning black. I had a difficult time walking. And went to the doctor. They said it was fungal infection. 4 doctors, fungal infection. And then the 5th doctor said, no, my God, you have a life-threatening problem. You need to go to the hospital. You have no blood in your legs. Both legs had no blood in them. They were cold, and there was no pulse. My toes were dying. My legs were going to follow. So I had to get in the hospital. They put me in the hospital immediately, and I had surgery. And had 2 arteries put in to supply my femoral artery blood back to my legs. So here I am after major vascular surgery, trying to recover in this extremely hot house. And I'm telling him, I'm begging him. I've been begging him by email, please help, please solve this heat. This is too hot. I said, there's no insulation in the attic. I went up, I looked up there, there's no insulation. This is why it was so hot on the ceiling, 105 to 108. Hotter than it was outside because it's baking on the roof, and then the attic is like an oven. And then the ceiling is getting just absorbing all that heat and coming into the house. He wouldn't do anything. I begged him and begged him on the phone, in emails, repeated emails, please, my health is not good. I'm swelling up really bad. I was begging him with my health, saying, please do something. He'd either ignore me, not respond. That was what he did. He didn't do anything else. He wouldn't acknowledge, do anything about it. And here it was affecting my health, greatly affecting my health. I couldn't heal. I was so swelled up in my legs and everything because it was so hot. And anybody knows when you get really, really, really hot, you know, especially when you just had vascular surgery, if you're not sure how that works, that's why they have you put cold on it to make the swelling go down. So if it gets hot, it swells up even more. And that's what was happening. And he wouldn't do anything. He didn't care about my health. And I actually said that in one of my emails, the later emails. I said, I can't understand how you disregard my health. I just don't understand this. This is where he started to get aggravated, I think, because I was calling him out now. I'm fed up with this. You're affecting my health here. And you have a responsibility legally to have this house in operating order and properly safe. There's mold growing everywhere. I was sending him pictures of mold showing up in different rooms. Now the kitchen has got mold. Their tiles are popping off above the sink. The wood is swelling because the mold is growing behind it, and the water that's getting in there, because the bay window was never sealed to the house. There's a crack all the way around the bay window where it was mounted to the house. There's a crack. You could see through it. Bugs were coming in through there. Hot air was coming through there. Cold air in the winter. It'd be 39 degrees in my kitchen and dining room. Unbelievable. And I told him all this, and he just constantly ignored me. He wasn't spending money on the house. And this is what I was living with here we are now at about 5 to 6 years. In 2017, I had 2 surgeries in 2017, March and September. And he still hasn't done anything about the air conditioning. He won't. He won't respond to me, even begging him for my health's sake. Please fix this air conditioning. It's hurting my health. I'm swelling up. Those were the words I put in the emails. And to him, no response. And he wouldn't do anything. So, got into, I stayed as cool. I would take wet towels and put on my legs, try to keep cool. But this is nothing right about this. 2018, just the whole time I'd lived there, about 3/4 of the time I lived there, the toilets were backing up, shower was backing up. We'd had probably a plumber out there, oh my God, 15 times in a few years. Because, every couple of weeks it would back up again. And he would just call the same person out, and they weren't fixing the problem. And every time they came out, and they actually got electrocuted by going in through the pipe, the metal pipe up on the roof, because of that 120 volts going through the house. They got electrocuted. And they were not happy about it. And I had to turn the circuits off so they could actually do their job. So they told me they were running 150 feet from the clean out opening on the roof. 150 feet. And it just didn't seem right because the front yard wasn't really that far away. But I didn't know. But they were really having a hard time every time they did it. Well, here the last year that I was there, a guy had to come out again, and they've come out every year, several times a year. So this is just, and I said, finally, we need to get a different company. This is not working. These guys don't know what they're doing. So he finally agreed to get a different company. Guy came out, and he went 75 feet, and he said, and he used a camera that I've been trying to tell the judge to let him do, but he didn't want to spend the money for a camera to go down and see what was going on. He would not do it. And I had been telling him this after the first time, this first couple times. They got to figure out, because they would bring it up. We don't know really what's going on, so we need to do a camera, but it's too expensive. He wasn't going to do that. He's going to pay him $200-300 each time they came and spend 10 times $2,000, $3,000, instead of $400 for a camera once and be done with it. That's how stupid he is. That's how stupid he is. He's a judge, San Diego judge. That's how stupid he is. He has no common sense whatsoever, except the dollar figure that's in front of his face. He's not going to spend. No common sense. And he used to try to be calling me his friend all the time. You're a great guy, Mike. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I don't want to hear that. Don't say that. I would tell him that. I say, I don't like it when somebody says that to me. You know, I just kind of joke about it. But a great guy. That's what somebody that's being condescending to you says. Um, and that's what he was doing. He didn't care about anything but himself and his vacations and his silver spoon wife. Taking her on whatever vacations she wanted. And spending $20,000 a year, $24,000 every year, instead of fixing the house. He had a handyman, Martin, this Mexican guy that come over, and he didn't know what he was doing. This guy's dumber than rocks. He's the guy that actually did all the repairs in the house before I moved in, and all this flip garbage work, and covered up all kinds of problems. Doesn't fix anything right. The vanities were falling away from the wall. He would put sealant, or not even put sealant on him against the wall there, but he would never screw them to the wall. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I mean, this is just total stupidity. That he wouldn't screw them to the wall. You screw any cabinet to the wall or to the ceiling. It's like in the kitchen. And he's doing all of his repairs in his other properties too. He's doing the repairs for him because he's a cheapskate, just like the judge. So he'll do it like he wants. I'll tell you an example in just a couple minutes here, where it's unbelievable what he's doing. So this mold issue in the kitchen and everything, he's going to do all this repair. He wants to tear out these cabinets. There's nothing wrong with the cabinets. But he wants to sell him cabinets that he got. Apparently got free. And he wants to sell it and make money off these cabinets. I said there's nothing wrong with the cabinets. He got mad at me about that. Martin did. Because he wanted to sell him these cabinets he got free. But there was nothing wrong with the cabinets. He's just ripping him off. And I told him and the judge and his wife that, because they both came over. I said, there's nothing wrong with him. What's wrong with him? Nothing. It's behind it. It's the wall that's the problem. So, just totally dysfunctional. He was going to go for it. The judge was going to go for it. Till I got in the middle of it. I was like, what are you going to pay him all this money for when you don't do things right and pay me to do the things you do? Are you kidding? He's ripping you off. The stuff that's wrong with that house is just unbelievable. The drywall, every time there was mold, he would take out the spot of mold and leave the rest of the wall. He would not do a mold test or anything. Mold, when it starts growing in one place, the spores are everywhere. So you got to remediate. You've got to clean out the whole area and a lot of times pull out a lot of the wall because it's growing behind it too. Before it goes through it, and you finally see it. He would cut out the small piece of, that's it. That's it. I had to live in this for 8 years. This mold. See how congested I am? By the end of the time when I moved, I could hardly breathe. And the dogs were the allergies were really bad too. And finally I got them out of there. They got better. See, this is bad shape over there. Dangerous to live in. My health was terrible because of the heat that I was living in. In the winter, it was so cold, and the windows leaking. Finally, he agreed to put windows in. About 2017 or 18. Had me get a hold of window contractors. Wasted my time is what he did. Because I got him prices on decent windows. Not the highest price, because I knew how he was. But decent windows. They were like $1,000 to $1,400 a window, and there's only like 8 windows. It was a really reasonable price, but they were double pane and they were good windows, Anderson windows. He refused it. He refused to do the repair. He said that he had a window guy that was going to do it. He came over, got the windows, and he put all these windows in, and they left the invoice, the window guys did, on the kitchen table by accident. And I actually got a hold of it because it was on the table. $300 windows, $300 each for the windows. They were worse than Walmart or Home Depot windows. The brand, I can't say it right now, but the brand, I looked it up, and it was the worst brand, no warranty, the worst brand, horrible complaints about them because they don't keep the air from the outside. The temperature doesn't keep the temperature out. If it's cold outside, it's going to be cold inside on the inside of the window. If it's hot, it's going to be hot in. It lets it right in. It's just worthless windows. And I told him that, and he just stood there right in front of me and lied right to my face. First time I really caught him lying right to my face. Said, "Oh, wow, I'm going to have to talk to him about that. They were supposed to put, they weren't supposed to put those windows in." He was lying to me. Because nothing ever came of it. And that's the cheap person he is. He was just trying to lie to me and cover for himself so that he didn't have to put windows in that would do any good. But at least it got done so he could quiet me down. Well, that's not going to quiet me down because it's still getting hot in here. The air might not be coming in like it was, but it's coming through the window because it's not keeping that heat out. That's what double pane windows do. They keep the heat out or keep the cold out because it can't migrate through the window. Anyway, so, after that, and those guys, those workers, they were damaging stuff in the house, and I told them about it. Anyways, nothing I could do. I just had to try to be nice and get along with them. One of the last couple things was he got the kitchen done, and downstairs was leaking again. That was another leak. Here's another leak. And I wasn't going to do anything this time. I was fed up with it. And it wasn't a foot deep like it was before. It ruined the floor. But then it never got replaced after the time before that I said it was ruined, and I wasn't even going to address it. I just left the damaged floor in there. And this is not my house. I can't deal with this, and I got to find a new place to live. Is what I was thinking for the last couple of years. I can't do this. There's mold growing everywhere, and I'm showing him, and he's not doing anything, and he doesn't react. Get somebody over there to solve it, take care of it. In fact, he never got anybody to properly take care of it because you would have a licensed company to come out. He's got Martine coming over, and he's going to cut out the mold, the small little spot, and then or the long spot, and he's going to put new drywall there, and that's it. That's not the way it works. You got to clean the whole area and check for mold. So it's called mold remediation. You've got to clear it out. It's a legal thing that they have to do as a tenant, or a landlord, for the safety of and health of the tenant. And so when this last flood came up, I went and got mold tests. They come in petri dishes, and a top and a bottom of the petri dish, and you put this liquid that comes with it in there, close the petri dish, and put it in the rooms where you suspect mold. And the mold, oh my God, it grew like penicillin. I mean, it just was just unbelievable how quick it grew overnight and how much. And I sent it in for analysis to the Mold Armor laboratories, and they verified every single room had serious mold issues and mold that will cause health problems, breathing problems. I presented it to him, and he just We cleaned it up. He got it. We sprayed it and everything else. That's all we need to do. No, it's not. Legally, you have to have remediation done. And then you have to disclose it to the next tenant, which he's not going to do. And the reason I know that is because I was there. At the same time, the place where it was leaking, it was the slab was cracked. In the room that kept leaking, the slab was cracked all the way across the room. I sent him a picture of it. He's got Martine over there. When a slab cracks, you can't fix it. You got to break it up, and you got to redo the foundation. That's your foundation of your house. Okay, it's a serious issue, and it's a costly issue. He had Martine, and I was standing there when Martine was doing it with another Mexican friend of his. He was rolling over with a paint roller, sealant over the crack. They sealed it. They sealed a foundation leak, a slab leak. I couldn't believe it. The crack was big. It's going to crack right through that sealant. It's not going to keep water out. But he doesn't care. He is not going to spend money. The other thing that happened was I started to talk about earlier, and then he did that, and he put tile right on top of it, and he floored it real quick. There was mold in the corner, and in the closet there next to that, he took that drywall out. The mold, it just keeps growing in the house, and then there was mold in the other rooms. The whole wall was covered with mold. It just keeps growing because he's not getting rid of it properly. And he's going to move somebody else in there, and they got to breathe that, like I had to do for 8 years. It's unbelievable. And I didn't realize it was behind the walls and stuff. I did more investigation about it and understanding of how grow the mold is. That's why I'm breathing like I am. The other thing that he did, I was talking about the plumber. The last plumber that came over took a camera, and he found out that it's only 75 feet to the septic system. They were going into, and I even told him that at the time, because he pulled out debris with his auger, his snake, and they had it stuck to the end of the snake the time before. And I said, you're going all the way into the septic. You just pulled something out of the septic tank. No, it's in the line. No, he was putting it in 150 feet. He was wrapping it around 75 feet inside the septic tank. Are you kidding? These guys don't know what they're doing. And then when they were running it back, the guy it got loose of him and almost got tangled up and hurt the guy. Those things are dangerous. Those augers, they're electric augers. That cable, it got a hold of him and grabbed his shirt and pulled him in. He could have been seriously injured. So the septic was plugged up. That was the problem. Septic was totally plugged up. It was a mess. And this has been going on for years. It was the septic. It was not the lines they kept talking about. Roots, everything else. No, it was the septic it had to be dug up. And so now he's got this big repair. But is he going to do it? No. He's going to do something. He's going to probably have somebody flush it out or something and build something else into it and just continue on with this septic that needs to be dug up and replaced, but he won't do it because it's very expensive. And that's when he was like pushing me to move on because he has too many repairs for the house, that he needed to get the house vacant, and so I needed to find somewhere else to live. And oh my God, are you kidding me? If he would have just done these repairs along the way, he wouldn't have this problem. But just like the slab leak, he seals over it. That's not going to solve a slab leak, a foundation leak. It's going to keep cracking. And that's the foundation for the house. The bedroom, the wall is settling. It's settling. The window is actually tweaking and cracked because the whole wall is dropping on one side. He's got a mess in the house there. He's just got to have, because he won't fix anything right. Martine is his go-to guy who does nothing right. I don't even think he's licensed. I don't know. I don't know if he's licensed or not. But everything he does is not right. It's the cheapest way that you could do it because that's who he's working for. And that's what he wants. A tenant has a right to have things working properly and to have a healthy and safe environment. I had every right to have a much better environment than I had. Endangering me with all that mold was just ridiculous. I'm actually going to go to the doctor about it because it won't seem to go away. I've moved since, and the place I'm at now, I'll get into that in a different video, but it's almost as bad. I have to move out of here after 3 months. This is, the slumlords in San Diego are unbelievable. But what was most shocking to me was a slumlord that's actually a sitting judge, San Diego judge. Unbelievable. And this guy's, he's what I call the yes man. He's a yes man. You know, when you first meet somebody and they're like, oh, yeah, they get along with you, and it's always yes to everything, you know, and you just feel good because they're always so positive. Well, that's deceiving. That's deception. I've learned out that that's not really who he is. He's not a yes man at all. He just says that. Just like saying, go for it on the back pond. He didn't mean that at all, as he finally told me. No, that's not what I meant. Well, what did you tell me to go for it for? That's normal English language. Just go ahead. You agree. You've given consent. He's a liar is what he is. And they turn around on you just like lawyers do. You know, people don't like lawyers for that reason sometimes because they turn around and they say one thing 1 second and next. But I need to find a lawyer to actually sue this judge. I've talked to a few, and I have to do it on contingency. I need to find a lawyer that will sue this judge and for the damages and the danger he put my life in. The last year, this is now January of 2021. In June of 2020, 6 months ago, for 2.5 years, the last 2.5 years, I had so much pain in my chest. This is another problem I was having. And down my arms and in my shoulder blades. It was really excruciating pain anytime I would move. And I went to 11 doctors over 2.5 years, and not one of them identified what was going on. Till I finally, and I was out of doctors to go to, I finally went to back to my vascular surgeon who did for my legs, put the arteries in. I said, please help me. I can't deal with this pain. This is what I was dealing with at the same time as this house being so hot. This is why I didn't have any energy left. I had to do the insulating upstairs in the attic. He wouldn't get somebody to do it. I had to do it. I talked him into it for next to nothing. While I was going through all this pain and recovering from my artery surgery for my legs, it was only like weeks after I had my surgery. I had to get up in the attic and put all this insulation in the attic because he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't have somebody do it. And we had many conversations about it. I was just like, are you kidding? It's so hot. This is another reason it's so hot in here. Anyway, so the last couple of years, I was dealing with all this severe pain and couldn't get an answer. My vascular surgeon sent me to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist told me that they took me in for a CAT scan or a catheterization, and found out that I had a heart attack in the 2.5 years. I'd already had one. I survived it, but that's what all the pain was. And these 11 doctors did not one of them recognized, or even, they just dismissed it. They actually, some of them would say, that's not your heart. You wouldn't have pain all the way over. Well, it was It was 99% blocked, my heart was. And part of my heart was not even moving. That's why the pain was so severe. It was 30 on a 10 scale. And I kept telling him that. Different doctors were, well, you know, you must be a baby. They didn't say those words, but they would say, well, you can get pain management. Like, I just couldn't deal with pain or something. I can deal with 10 on a 10 scale. I can deal with that. But 30 on a 10 scale, and this truly was. This was unbearable. And I had to stop moving and just lay down and close my eyes, and I would just lay there and, oh my God, stop, please go away. I mean, it could be minutes or it could be half hour or whatever. It's just, it was horrible. The most horrible thing that I've ever been through. I couldn't control it. It was so painful. And my vascular surgeon sent me to the cardiologist. Finally, someone was common sense. Chest in your pain? Duh. Send him to a cardiologist. 11 doctors refused. Wanted to give me opioids so I couldn't feel the pain. Okay, let's make it so you can't feel heart attack pain. That's brilliant, isn't it? That's why you have the heart attack pain, so you can go to and you can identify it. But I have ripped rotator cuffs, ripped elbow joints, so they had me doing CAT scans, all this, trying to figure out what was going on. Was it resonating? No. Never sent me to a cardiologist. So I need a lawyer to help me, please, to deal with this landlord. I need to sue him. And don't be afraid because he's a judge, please. The facts are there, and I have thousands of pictures. I've got hundreds and hundreds of emails, texts. I've got proof, video, everything, and a lot more that I didn't even disclose of the repairs that needed done, and what the horrible conditions I was living in. And I had no choice because I couldn't afford to move. And I kept begging him for my own help. The pain that I was going through and trying to work so I could keep paying my house payment, even when COVID started, because that's what this last year is when COVID was. So I was pushing myself to continue to work. I had a heart surgery in June, but I had a heart attack previous to that. I pushed myself right through a heart attack because I refused to not pay my rent. I refused to not pay it. I had to work. Even though people are not paying it because of COVID and everything else, they're going to have to pay it eventually. Mine's already paid. But it's just the type of person I am. I will not stop. I will meet my obligations. But I need a lawyer to help me out, to address this wrong that I've been done. And now I've come right into another one. And this is despicable, and also, and I'll mention it in the next video, but there's sexual harassment, assault in this new house, not the judge, in this new house. This landlord's alleged of this new landlord. And so look for the other video, because I'll go through that as well. I need to expose these landlords, and I need to get help. I've called lawyers, and they're just like, well, we can't take on your case. And they don't give you a reason. So if somebody out there can please help me, that's a lawyer, please help me. I've got 2 cases here. Working through, and the stress that I went through with this house being so hot and so unbearable to live in stressed me right into a heart attack. I mean, I could hardly even recover with my legs swell up. But this being so hot all the time and stressed with all that I was going through, the floods and everything else, I ended up having a heart attack. And it didn't help going through that and making it worse for me. It just added to my stress and the cause of my heart attack. So please, I need a lawyer to help me out. I'm going to keep calling lawyers as well, but I also need to expose these landlords that are just absolute slumlords. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And this one's just shockingly a San Diego judge. A sitting judge. He's still a judge. It shouldn't be. Not when you act like this. He's broken the law many times with breach of contract and everything else. Remediation, not disclosing it. Several things that he's done that making it uninhabitable for me, with it being so hot in the house. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. The floods, the mold, just unbelievable. So please, I hope a lawyer will reach out to me and give me some help. Okay. All right. Once again, my name is Michael Riley. It's been a long video. There's a lot more, but I have thousands and thousands of pictures and videos, and emails and everything else, the proof of what I've been through. I started taking pictures the first day things started coming up, videos. So, all right. Thank you, and I hope somebody will reach out to help me.